For many people, music is an escape from reality, and even a means to express and release a variety of emotions ranging from anger, happiness, sadness, and so on. But over the years, there have been a growing number of artists from varying genres that have been blamed for making music that is said to encourage violent behavior, devil worship, and overall antisocial behavior. Specific songs have even been believed to be the cause of riots, rebellious movements, suicide, and even murders. Here's a list of 5 songs and artists accused of influencing people to commit criminal acts of violence and even suicide. Number 1. The Columbine Massacre is quite possibly the most infamous school shooting in American history. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold shot 12 of their fellow high school students, 1 of their teachers, and even themselves on April 20th, 1999 in Columbine, Colorado. The 2 teens were believed to be massive fans of artist Marilyn Manson. The mainstream media and major news organizations started to speculate and suggest that Marilyn Manson's lyrics were what made the boys carry out these acts of senseless violence.
Did Marilyn Manson inspire the massacre at Columbine High School?
You can't sit there and say that music is this trigger point for kids losing their minds. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's ludicrous.
There's no controlling what's going to tick off a crazy person. It's got to be the media. It's got to be it's Dungeons. It's Marilyn Manson. Well, you know, it wasn't Marilyn Manson.
The mourning public needed a finger to point, and immediately went along with these wild accusations, causing Manson to cancel 5 of his upcoming scheduled performances at the time. Manson publicly bashed all the criticism he received, and said the media unfairly turned his music into a scapegoat for the acts that transpired, and that this kind of ridiculous finger-pointing and blaming could possibly lead to similar tragedies. News came out later that discovered the boys weren't actually fans of Manson, and didn't even own a single CD of his. In a documentary by Michael Moore named Bowling for Columbine, Manson was asked, "What if the kids at Columbine were here today? What would you say to them?" Marilyn Manson replied, "I wouldn't say anything. I'd listen to them, which nobody else did. Who do you know that needs a friend, or just someone to talk to? Just lending your ear could be enough to change their life, and the world." This thought-provoking quote was enough to shift some of the general public's perspective on the entire ordeal. Number 2. On October 26, 1984, 19-year-old John Daniel McCollum was found dead on his bed after shooting himself at his home. When he was discovered, his parents noticed he had been listening to the song Suicide Solution by Ozzy Osbourne. His parents immediately pointed the blame at Ozzy, and even went on to sue the singer, claiming that the lyrics to Suicide Solution were without a doubt the primary cause for their son's death. Daniel's mother believes the lyrics, "Made your bed, rest your head, but you lie there and moan, where to hide? Suicide is the only way out," influenced her son to ultimately end his life. Osbourne responded by saying, "The boy must have been pretty messed up before he ever heard an Ozzy record. I can't help that, you know? I feel very sad for the boy, and I felt terribly sad for the parents. As a parent myself, I'd be pretty devastated if something like that happened. And I've thought about this, if the boot was on the other foot. I couldn't blame the artist." Ozzy also went on to talk about how he believes the young man misinterpreted his song's real meaning, going on to say,
The song they're referring to is a song called Suicide Solution. You should read the lyrics. The lyrics are all about drinking yourself to death with alcohol. Now, if somebody misinterprets that song, it ain't my fault. I mean, the song was, wine is fine, but whiskey's quicker, suicide is slow with liquor. And it's just a warning to the kids. For Christ's sake, it's misinterpretation you could put it down to. I'm I'm not trying to worm out of it, but I can't take any responsibility for that. I mean, I feel deeply, deeply sad about it because I know...
But years later, the case was dismissed by the state of California in 1988. The court essentially declared that McCollum's suicide could in no way be a foreseeable or direct result of Ozzy's song. But it doesn't end there. Not too long after, the family of another young man, Michael Waller, also filed a nearly identical lawsuit against the rock legend the very same year, also claiming that subliminal messages in the same song were what caused their son to ultimately take his life on May 3rd, 1986. But fortunately for Osbourne, this case was also unsuccessful, and dismissed shortly after for similar reasons as the first suit. Number 3. In 1994, Milwaukee police were heartbroken when a teenage sniper shot and killed fellow officer William Robertson in a vacant lot where 17-year-old Curtis Lee Walker was waiting for him. Walker's accomplice Dennis Jackson, who was an escapee from a juvenile detention center, acted as a lookout inside of a phone booth and signaled when the officer's vehicle was entering the lot. District Attorney Jack Stick told Judge Russell Stamper he watched both police officers through his scope on the rifle and waited until the van turned the corner before firing one shot into the van. The kid who fired the shot had a pretty serious criminal record before this incident, including arrests for possessions of unregistered handguns and illegal narcotics. He was tried as an adult and even went on to tell police that he wanted to kill a police officer after listening to Tupac's song Soulja Story. Ironically enough, a week prior to the shooting, Tupac had just performed a show in Milwaukee, which ended abruptly when he started to become aggressive towards some fans in the crowd, and even went on to insult a few of them. Things got hectic quick, causing Tupac's bodyguard to pull out a weapon on stage in attempts to prevent things from escalating further. And to make matters worse, a year prior, in June of 1993, a Texas state trooper, Bill Davidson, was murdered by 19-year-old Ronald Ray Howard, who claimed Tupac's anti-police lyrics influenced him to take the officer's life.
Violently on a dark Texas highway. A cop from the country was shot dead by a teenager from the inner city. The teenager is trying now to avoid the death penalty, claiming the sounds of his world drove him to violence.
What should be done with Ronald Ray Howard?
What he did was execute my husband.
What penalty do you think he should get?
The death penalty.
Why?
Why not? He took a life.
It didn't take the judges long in that case to convict Howard of capital murder. A multi-million-dollar lawsuit was even filed by the Texas state trooper's widow against Tupac and Interscope Records, claiming the rap artist was grossly negligent for distributing music that encouraged lawless behavior. Concerned parents and politicians across the U.S. were furious and blamed both shootings on Tupac's music and his influence on impressionable young men. Many even tried to get his music banned from being played on the radio and sold in stores.
Much more to the violence in culture issue than just video games. Also coming in for heavy criticism lately, the lyrics in some, not all, but some, rap music. As correspondent Bill Whitaker reports, more and more radio stations are taking requests to tone it down.
Here you have a responsible corporation, Time Warner, putting out and distributing a record and making money off a record that says it's okay to kill cops. I find that outrageous. The lyrics are outrageous. Lyrics like die, 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 pig, die.
Surprisingly to this day, many people still blame rap as being the driving force that caused these rebellious youth to commit acts of violence, while the artist's supporters defend Tupac and say it's not his fault in the slightest. Tupac Shakur's attorney, Chowkey Lumumba, characterized all these accusations as ridiculous and is quoted saying, "Tupac is an artist, and his work is social commentary. It's unfortunate when anybody is killed, but Tupac never told anybody to shoot a policeman. It's true he raps about problems with the police, but those problems existed long before he was born." Number 4. In 2002, a 29-year-old South Jersey man, Ronald Pietouch, became enraged when his mother, 62-year-old Josephine Pietouch, refused to purchase cigarettes for him. He was so infuriated that he killed his mother inside of the home they lived in by beating her to death with a barbell. He then tied up his 5-year-old niece and sped away from the crime scene on his motorcycle shortly after. While on his ride, he saw an elderly woman who was out for a walk and spontaneously decided to attack her. Ronald was cruising around aimlessly when he suddenly spotted an 11-year-old boy named Gregory Cat Nelson riding his bicycle in the Evesman Township. Ronald got off his motorcycle and grabbed the boy off his bike, and then proceeded to stab him repeatedly with a knife. He then dumped the boy's body in a nearby pond. Ronald Pietouch was apprehended by police not too long after his murder spree. During the 2-year trial, his defense attorneys acknowledged that Ronald was manic depressive and even claimed he was schizophrenic. But Ronald's own bizarre testimony is what makes this case interesting. He told the judge that he believed the devil was inside of him and said the song Ronnie by legendary heavy metal band Metallica was written about his own personal life, and the song inspired him to commit these horrific acts. As you can imagine, the court did not take this seriously, and in 2004, Pietouch was sentenced to 50 years in jail. Number 5. James Francis Edwards, Michael Dwayne Jones, and Chauncey Allen Luna are 3 teenagers who claimed boredom was the reason they murdered a 22-year-old Australian college baseball player named Christopher Lane. Police say that the 3 boys randomly targeted Lane, who was said to be jogging down a tree-lined street near his girlfriend's parents' home in Oklahoma. Lane and his girlfriend had just returned to Oklahoma after visiting his homeland of Melbourne, Australia. The Stevens County jury determined that Chauncey Luna was riding in his friend's vehicle when he saw Lane and opened fire on him while he had his back turned. James Edwards, who was a passenger in the car, made a statement that shocked police. When asked why they shot Lane, he responded, "We were bored and didn't have anything else to do, so we decided to kill somebody." The police department was not buying into this as the motive for the murder, but upon further investigation, Edwards' Twitter account was filled with tweets that referenced murder. The court believed this to be incriminating evidence as to this being a premeditated drive-by shooting, as opposed to just a spur-of-the-moment murder. But it was later discovered that the tweets were actually lyrics to various songs by drill rapper Chief Keef from Chicago. Keef has been known to be affiliated with various gang activities and has had more than his fair share of run-ins with the law. His music was blamed for possibly being the inspiration for the murder of Christopher Lane. The police also believe that Keef's music is causing increased murder statistics in Chicago, as well as other parts of the country, with young men trying to emulate his lifestyle. Keef has yet to comment on this incident. I hope you all enjoyed this video. It definitely took a ton of time to research information and write the script. It fascinates me that there have been so many cases where people believe that the lyrics to rap and rock songs are to blame for these various incidents that have ensued over the last few decades. Luckily, no artists were ever found guilty of being the primary cause in any of the incidents listed. Which case did you personally find to be the most interesting or most bizarre? Make sure to let me know in the comments section below. please share this video, and let me know if you would like a volume 2. Also, if other YouTubers start making videos like this, don't forget who made it first. Thank you so much for the continued support, and take care, guys.